So I've got 3 kids. I love my kids, and I love my kids' kids because my kids all have kids, and I visit them regularly. And the other night I went round to Samuel's place. Now, Samuel is married to Liv, and they have Holly and Aubrey and baby Brinley. And I went in and I had tea with them, and then I read books to the kids, and we played on the floor, we do all that sort of stuff. Took them to bed, told them a story, kissed them goodnight, came back in, and then Samuel said, "Hey Dad, why don't you stay and watch the footy?" So we stayed and watched the footy, and that was really, really good. And at the end of that, I thought, okay, better get out of here. So I went across to the bench, or to the table, I think it was, to pick up my keys and my wallet and my phone, which I always put together. And my wallet and my phone were there, but no keys. And I'm going, hang on, left them in the car. So I go outside, and I always park my car behind Samuel and Liv's, and I always leave it open too. So I open up the door, no keys in the ignition. Okay, check on the roof of the car, no. Not there either. No, I've dropped them somewhere. So I start rummaging through the car, and I still can't find them. I thought, oh, it's got to be inside. They have to be inside somewhere. So I go back inside and I start looking around the house. No keys. And I'm thinking, where have I been? Went to the table, went to the bench. I've been watching TV. I went to the rubbish bin. No, not in there either. So Samuel and Liv now start to help me search around the house. Then Liv goes, oh, look, you just haven't looked properly in the car. So she goes out with a torch, and she comes back 5 minutes later saying, can't find them there either. So Samuel, you know how this thing works, you look sort of the first time, then you sort of look a bit more the second time, and then you really, really pull everything apart. Well, Samuel pulled everything apart, and they weren't there. And then I rustle my pocket, and they're not there either. Okay, so now what do? We've now been looking for an hour and a quarter. They can't drive me anywhere because my car is behind their car. The only thing was Uber. And so at 11 o'clock at night, we call an Uber. I get in the Uber and drive home, thinking that in the morning we'll be able to come back and they will have found the keys, or the keys will be somewhere in the car, or it'll just turn up in some weird spot, because I hadn't been anywhere else. So I drive home in the Uber, and I come back the next morning expecting them to say, "Hey, here they are, Dad," and they don't say that. So we go out in the light and we start looking around where the car was, and still no keys, even down the drains, which I didn't even walk near, up the side walkway, nothing there. And they're looking around the house again. I'm going, I've only got one key. This is going to be a bit disastrous because my car's still behind theirs and we can't get it out. And then I sit down with Holly and I'm reading something to her, and then this little thought goes in my head. I wonder if she did anything with the keys. Liv said to me, she doesn't do that sort of stuff. So I said to her, Holly, did you hide Nodgy's keys? And she goes, Now, at that point, I think I might be onto something, but I don't want to make her think that she's in trouble. So I just said, that is so funny, Holly. Where did you hide them? So she takes me out into the next room, opens up a little white cupboard, and there they are. And she hands them to me with a big laugh on her face. This kid cost me an Uber drive home and about 2 hours of trying to search the house. But how can you get angry at that? Anyway, I said to her, Holly, why did you do that? She said, because of what Zachy did. I said, what Zachy did? Oh no. You see, a couple of days ago, Holly was listening to me tell a story to Samuel and Liv about the other day when we were setting up for the women's Bible study on Sunday afternoon with all the girls. We had to set up a screen and all the microphones and all the speakers and that too. We were having a little bit of trouble with it. And right at the end, we said, okay, where's the remote? And we couldn't find it. And we knew it was there. And out of the blue, I reckon Zachy had it at some stage. So I head on down the passageway to where Zachy is in my office drawing on the whiteboard. And I said, hey, Zachy, do you know where the remote control is? And he goes, yeah. I said, where? He said, in the box. I said, what box? He said, the white box. So he takes me into the church, and there in the prayer box where people put prayer requests in is the remote control.
Sorry, Nodgy.
So Holly had heard this story about him doing that, and so she decided it was a good idea to do it with my keys. Grandchildren, I love them.